Hi everyone, my name is Dorcas Akintade. You are welcome to the Power Hub. In June 2024, an official in President Trump's campaign opened an email that was received from the compromised email account of one of the former senior advisors. Unfortunately, that email was a spear phishing which was targeted to compromise and steal internal communications and sensitive documents from the campaign. Let's take a look at the lessons learned from the hack. Firstly, we need to gain a good understanding of what the attack is really about. Phishing is a form of cyber attack where the attackers deceive a person into revealing sensitive information. The method of delivery of the attack vectors is usually done through fraudulent emails, text messages, a phone call, or a bogus website. Most of the time, the link from those sources appears to be from someone you know and trust. There are different types of phishing attacks, and spear phishing is just one of them. Compared to most of the other phishing attacks that are generic, a spear phishing attack is targeted, so it uses personalized messaging into making the receiver believe that the communication is legitimate. In the case of the Trump hack, the senior official who received the email believed that it emanated from the former senior advisor. What this tells us is that the attackers had gained access into the former senior advisor's email credentials, hence using it to send out the illegitimate email. Now let's take a look at how spear phishing works. The first part that you need to understand about how spear phishing works is what is called, some people will call it research, some people will call it in the tech or in cybersecurity, we call it reconnaissance. So I'll say research. The first thing you need to understand about research is that the attackers gather information against their targets, usually through the organization's websites and social media. They gain access to the information of a possible victim whose identity they try to steal. I would use the word try now because if they are successful, they've actually stolen the identity. Now, when they steal the identity, usually what they steal is the name of the person, the job title, and usually the email address. These are the credentials they use in compromising the victim's organizational credentials, usually access to the person's email, not just email address right now, the email itself. Now the second phase is gaining access to the compromised email. Now what they do is that with the credentials that they have gained or they have been able to gain through research, they now craft a personalized email to someone of higher ranking in that same organization. That person that serves of the person of higher ranking is what is referred to as the target. That's the person that will be sending the compromised email to. Now the third phase is when the phishing email is sent to the target. The email will contain a malicious link or a malicious attachment. That attachment or the link is set up to steal sensitive information or install malware, not only on the target's device, or in this situation, the person they are sending the email to, they are going to be installing malware on the person's device, but not only on the device, but also on the organization's network, because they are trying to gain access. So now let's look at some of the lessons that we have learned. If you look at three phases I've explained to you, they are able to gain access through social media. That's number one. Number two, they are able to craft the email by entering into their victim's account. That's number two. Number three, actually sending the email that they need. That's number three, because it's spear phishing, not regular phishing. Now, some of the lessons I want us to learn is that number one, if the organization has set up multi-factor authentication, for those that don't know what multi-factor authentication means, that means you are gaining access through more than one device. Most times, some people, I'm going to use an example. Sometimes when you want to gain access into your bank account, it's going to give you what is called an OTP, a one-time password on your phone. Even if you are checking the email on your laptop or on an iPad or on another device, it's still going to send a code to your phone so that you authenticate, saying nobody is stealing the information, it is still me. That is what is referred to as multi-factor authentication. Another form of multi-factor authentication that I usually joke about and tell people about is when you want to go collect money at the ATM. The first thing that you are using when you collect money at the ATM is your card. When you use your card, that is what one form of authentication, what you have. Then you put in your password, what you know. Those are two forms of authentication. Because it is more than one form of authentication, we call it a multi-factor authentication. Now, I want you to understand that if that organization had set up a multi-factor authentication, access to the originating email might have been blocked from the initial. That means if they had set up multi-factor authentication, they would never have been able to gain access into the originating email's account in the first place. Even if they had the credentials, they had everything, if it was sending another factor of authentication to another device outside of the one they had, they may not have been able to compromise that email. Lesson number 2, regular security awareness training would have helped the target to recognize the email as a phishing attempt, which would have ensured that the suspicious links were not clicked on. Because that organization was not going through regular cybersecurity training, it did not understand that this was different from the regular email that the senior advisor, or should I use what, the former senior advisor would have sent to him. He could not recognize the fact that it was a compromised email, it was a spear phishing. Lesson number 3, the presence of an advanced threat monitoring and detection tool would have signaled the organization to the presence of unusual activity and potential threat on the organization's network. So we have learned 3 lessons now that could have stopped that act from happening. The third part is what you need to understand. Even if they were able to compromise that email and they still gained access to be able to send that email to the target, yes, the target could not recognize that email as a spear phishing. The organization itself could have recognized that unusual activity was happening in its network if they were not only monitoring it but detecting the tool, which in essence means they did not have what is called an advanced threat monitoring and detection tool. Those are 3 factors that would have stopped or minimized and allowed that act not to happen. What I want you to understand, if you're someone that owns an organization or you work in an organization, is that a breach does not only put a smear on your organization's reputation, it deters trust that your customers and partners have in you. So I want you to stay ahead of attacks, and you will neutralize threats before they ever materialize. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.